out that, push that down a bit, and yeah, there's the odd crack hole here. I'm still unconvinced it's going to be seaworthy, so still a lot of work to do. I tell you, you know, one minute you feel good about it, the next minute you see a problem, and it's quite an interesting experience.
It seemed a long time since we'd started, even though it was only a few days. But if we were going to finish, our work days were going to have to get longer and longer.
We're really pulling the stops out to get this done. We've been joking because up here, you know, if you walk on snowshoes and you get aches and pains from walking on snowshoes, there's this French phrase for it called mal de raquette, and we've been joking about mal de couteau croche, and that's the pain that comes from the crooked knife, because both of our hands, we're waking up in the morning feeling like our hands are 4 times the size they actually are. How's the mal de couteau croche?
So, this is that's what we're feeling.
But we had no choice. We had just a couple of days left, and we were both determined to get it on the water. The work had to continue.
It's like piloting a canoe. I think this is my favourite part of the canoe. It's so ingenious, the way the wood is laminated and then bent up to form the front of the canoe. And the little man then sits there, and then the gunwale sits on there holding the weight. So you can see how the shape of the bow and the stern is formed by these 2 pieces of wood.
With a construction like this, the pieces don't necessarily fit first time. It's trial and error, all done by hand and eye.
And then taper the back. That's, yeah, that's good.
Yeah, it fitted nicely, that one.
Yeah.
That's gone in easy. Yeah, that's a nice fit though. That's snug, isn't it? That's really, that's looking great. Tell you what though, it would be just about impossible to learn this from a book.
You'd have an awful thick book to begin with.
There's so many little details and nuances and experience that come into play.
Yeah, it's a lot of, like we just did there, you know, fitting first, take it back out. There's no pre-measurement. I couldn't tell you, make this piece a certain width or height, because each canoe is different. There's no, every canoe is individual. You don't have all the same parts in it. I couldn't sell you a kit that says this is going to work.
No.
Because when you put it together, it's not going to work.
Because the bark, you can't predict how that's going to behave either.
The rise,
no.
You know, and the way it's going to play and stuff like that. So it'd be quite difficult, I think, to follow directions and now and to make one that's
very
better.
much so. Yeah.
Hands-on is the best way.
That's another thing I love about bushcraft. It's all hands-on. Pinock showed me how each of the ribs needed tapering slightly differently. No 2 parts of this canoe are the same. As I carved the end of each rib, I realised that I'd know the ins and outs of this canoe more intimately than any canoe I'd ever paddled before. But before the ribs could be finally fitted, we needed to take a closer look at our bark.
Look at this. I'm not so keen on that, Pinock. What do you think?
We dried it out too much.
But this is actually getting worse as we watch it. I mean, these are getting bigger by the minute. This is the side that's been in the sun while we've been building it. It started to crack quite badly, and some of the cracks are now spreading across the boat, and I'm very, very concerned about that. I'm really starting to have some doubts about the integrity of the hull, and yeah, we're going to have to take it into the shade and have to make it very wet. That's all I can think of at the moment. And then it's over to you.
right now there's only bark there. And it's flimsy, but once you get the cedar in there and the ribs are in there very
give it
tight,
strength, yeah.
that's going to give us a lot of extra strength, and then we'll gum it. it's going to all seal up.
Okay.
But I know your concerns. You know,
Yeah, well, you know.
looking at it like this, there, I wouldn't get into it either, you know.
Right.
The solution was to patch the cracks with an extra lining of bark. But our problems weren't just down to the sun. It's getting harder and harder to find the right sort of bark. That's thick with the strength and flexibility of rubber.
Today it's very difficult to find trees that have these qualities because most of the trees, most of them have been cut. A lot of them have been cut.
They've not been cut by canoe builders, they've been cut by loggers.
Loggers, yeah. They go for veneer, which is the #1 quality tree. And what they leave is all the other trees that are crooked and stuff like that. So it's very difficult if you go into a place where they've already cut to find these nice trees.
Oh, yeah.
Luckily, this was the moment William chose to visit us again.
Yeah, we've got a few problems we could do with your expert eye on. This is the one that scares me though.
That one
Because
there.
a good slap between two waves, that could just snap.
With his vast experience, he was able to offer us some simple advice on how to add our extra layer of bark for strength.
All you have to do is extend it, not even a thick bark, just a thin one, contrary side this way. You could put the gum inside.
Now William was saying we put the bark counter. You see this one running this way?
Yeah.
The other layer we put
Give
it
the strength the other way.
the other way.
That's a good idea. William, would you have used this bark in the old days?
I don't think so. That the old people would say they threw that away. But today you have to have that.
Cross grain, yeah. Yep.
On top of the problems with the bark, we were running out of time. Evening was fast approaching, and with only one more day to go, we still had the final fitting of the ribs to do. Not a job you can rush.
Between the bark and the ribs we place sheeting like this, which is also split cedar. You can see how thin that is, but to give you an idea just how thin, we shape the ends here with a pair of scissors, like so. It's amazing, but once of course this is all combined all together with the bark and the ribs, it gives immense strength yet retains flexibility.
My pants are stretching or I'm losing weight.
I don't know about you, I need new hands. Oh, you need new knees as well.
New knees, new hands, all new. I'll order a new body.
I've met some wonderful people in my work, but I don't think I have ever worked with anyone as dedicated, reliable and determined as Pinock. He's that rare breed that's true to his word, no matter what the cost.
Well, it was a very late night last night. We worked right into the dark, and the reason for that is we have to finish this boat today, and you can't just put the ribs in one go. What you have to do is ease them in gently, bit at a time, allowing the bark to actually